Greetings and salutation, everybody out there in La La Land. How y'all doing today? Yeah, we have a interesting show for you today, I think. We'll see how it goes, but yeah, we're going to look at bash scripting and we're going to get in on that. So anyway, but before we do that, I want to get to my coffee mug. Using Mr. Sloppy here. But also a cup that has Mrs. Sloppy on it, so there you go. So anyway, that's the coffee I'm drinking, my Guatemalan coffee. Tell you what I'm going to have to do, I'm going to have to get some coffee beans from Sweet Maria's and roast some so I have some different coffee to talk about. This is a good coffee, Guatemalan single origin coffee. Pablo's Best or something like that from Sam's Club. And which is partly where I work, so that's one reason I get it. And you get 2 pounds for about cheapest price, I think $8.99 or something around here in Denver. So not a bad deal, huh? But I get it because it's easy to get and it's good coffee. So anyway, today we want to talk about some things, but I want to get to little announcements, to so to speak. That's my last 2 videos that I posted on my stream, not my stream, but on the, whatever you call it, video section. You upload videos. Yeah, my standard uploading video files. Yeah, they got like 4 and 6 views on this last one, so apparently not too much interest in these low floating window manager FLWM and Irby. I call it Irby window manager. So I guess either I need to stick to the major ones like Qtile and Xmonad and all those, or and skip the other ones or something like that, or sprinkle them in instead of doing a straight down the line review of all of them. So we'll see what happens, but yeah, we're going to take off on that, and I'll probably make a video announcement about that later on. But also, I've been really focusing a little bit more on my writing, so it's been taking some time away from being able to do videos. Like 6 one way or the other, which way I'm going to go, I don't know. So, yeah. So I have to figure out what my time frame is going to be for things like that and that kind of thing. I'll probably still do this show every week. It's just simple. I can just come with topics and what I want to talk about or what we're going to talk about. And people join, and they have chats and that kind of thing. But at any rate, this we're going to look at bash here in a bit, and also we have our scripts of the week, or script of the week basically. And the script of the week is my setup for copying my home file directory over to a backup. I have a unique system, unique in that I created the files to use rsync to back up my files. Now, I don't even use the backup function rsync. I basically cut my files just like I was copying them from one thing to another over to my backup disk. And yeah, probably show you the situation I've got on my disk currently. Before I do that though, we'll go to what am I going to do? I don't remember now. At any rate, yes, we get started on the bash scripting. So before we get into that, let's go over to my upper screen. So here I gotta make sure I'm on the right spot where I'm there. Go here, go up. And there we are on my awesome window manager, which I still use currently. I've been using it for like about 3 or 4 weeks now. As I said before, I pretty much like in it, pretty much been pretty good with it. Excuse me a sec while I blow my nose, wipe my nose, whatever you want to call it. So, at any rate, yeah. So I have this window manager. I use it. I really like it a lot. And at any rate, let's take over and let's take a look at my system I have set up here. This is my system. This is my main hard drive where I boot, and my root partition is on there. However, I have another disk, SDA1, where my home partition's at. I think I mentioned that last time. I also have an external hard drive that has 2 backups on it. It's 2 terabyte hard drive. It's got my rec, my home directory, which is where I back up my home directories in. If I go to it, then you see a different set of files and stuff there. And I got this one where I do the backups for my system directory. And you see this is almost a terabyte, and that's a little over a terabyte of data. So, then the ZRAM is just something they put out on my RAM usage. Swap files. I don't know why they create it there, but they do. So yeah. And we have that. So that's my system setup. And media. Okay, my home is where we're going to be putting my backup files for this copy home file that I have. I also have aliases put up for this. You can find your aliases on your system. Yeah. Oh, I didn't spell it right, did I? Not right either. Let's see if I can do this for 2 hands. There we go. There's my aliases. Now, if you have a lot of aliases on your system, it shows more than a page of it. You can always use your less or more, or pipe it through less or more to get less or more. The difference between those two, more is more of a forward. It goes forward, it can't go backward in it, less you can go forward and backwards, but more has a benefit. If you hit Q and you stop it, then it will allow you to it'll allow you to it'll allow you to put the if you hit Q, it'll keep it on the screen. If you hit Q and less, it disappears and goes back to where you started from. That's the difference between the two. But it's depending on the situation you got. More may be better for you and less may be better for you at different times, just depending on what you're doing. Anyway, that's aliases. And you notice right here, I've shortened it down. First alias right here, where I do bash home rate bin copy home. That's where it's located at. That's what I put all my script files in my bin directory on my load. It's also my path. Now, one of the things we're going to discuss about is path variables and other variables you got in your environment. You can find them by push env, like that. So you have all these variables. Down here you can see your path variable. You also get to find out just by going echo shift. Now the thing about variables in your environments is they're all, you know, it's all caps. You see they're lowercase. It's usually more personal variables that they put in here, different things. And so if I print that, it just prints out the one path echoes a path, and there you go. You get out of my face out of the way. Get out of the way, my face switch will echo. And there's the bin directory in the home directory, home bin. It's in the path variable, so no matter where I type this program, it'll go to that directory. Be able to find the thing. So if I type in that alias I have up there that runs copy home, though, CHP, then it runs it automatically. I don't have to type in the whole file name. This is why I have alias for it. Bingo. So anyway, yeah, these are variables that you can use in any bash file. How do you create them, you wonder? Glad you asked. Yeah, because we're going to talk about that and about setting variables in general in there. Now, yeah, you can find out what destination you have by pressing LS. LS is a convenient feature. It lists out your files. So you have to use lowercase o. And it lists out your files and directories on there. But it also can list out like USB, so LS, USB. Oops. List out all your LSP information. Then you go, let's see, I got a root, a 3 root hub link on here, which I have my hard drive, my external hard drive plug into, so it'll be faster than it would be otherwise. So, yeah. So anyway, you also list your PCs and your PCI devices, all that kind of stuff. So LS is helpful. It has a lot of functions. It has LS. There's a lot of LS code things you can look up for a list. That's what it stands for, a list. If you just put LS, it lists your files and directories automatically. And of course you have aliases. You can set all those things to do specific tasks. But if I put LL, it lists that out. If I want to see my my hidden files, LA, it gives me a list not only my main files, but also my hidden files, and so on and so forth. So those are some basics. Now some of these probably aren't going to apply. I mean, if you know this stuff, that's great, but a lot of people, I got to include this in videos because people would come across it. They not know all this stuff, so yeah. So if something's not very hot or good for you, hold on, we'll get to it. Okay, now how do you know what's a bash script and what's not? Now, I'm basically going to be using bash scripts because that's what most people are familiar with. That's what most people's run on, what most scripts are written in. You also got other options. You have fish, you have ZSH. You got just SH, which is shell, stands for shell. Bash stands for, can't remember for sure, but I think it's bourne shell or something like that. Yeah, you can make up whatever word you want, I guess, for it. Whatever you think might be working for you. And we have shells, various shells in here. And then you have your Z shell and your fish, which is FI shell. I'm not sure what FI stands for. look it up and Google it. You can find out probably pretty fast what it stands for. Excuse me. Sometimes I run out of breath and I talk too fast. Yeah, if you're in the comments or something, just say something and I'll try and slow down and repeat what I said, that kind of thing, so you can understand me. Sometimes when I'm focusing on the details of distro reviews and things like that, I also get quieter. So, one of the problems I have to deal with. Anyway, okay. What determines, unlike most programs and stuff like Python, all their files in the extension py, and all the files for other programs have certain extensions they use, like Lua, Lua, and I'm sure other ones like Rust, and all those have their own extensions they use, for their files written in that programming language. But Bash is a little bit different in that regard, and if you don't have files that are in that programming language written with an extension, you can have any extension on there you want, but it'll still be a Bash file. How, you ask? Let's look at our first example of we're going to run copy home. Notice I didn't have an extension on there. Now most people will put sh on the end of their Bash extensions just to indicate the shell script, and that's kind of standard. Yeah, but you don't have to enter it. You can put any weird extension on it you want and then run. Why? Because this little comment, first line that's available in your Bash script should be a comment !/ bin bash bin/bash. So that's basically where your Bash file is located at. And yeah, so if your Bash file was, say, located in a different place, like user/bash or user/bin/bash or some strange place like that, that's where you put that. Okay, but most of them are in bin. That's where the default is put. So that's where most people leave it, and that's where most people put this up there. So that's first comment in your file. It has to be commented. It has to be this format. Alrighty? And this is my copy home bin bash file. It runs even though I don't have an extension on the file at all. I figured something like that, just copy home is what you want to have happen when you press it. Okay. Now this bash file will back up my home directory onto an external drive. Now you put into copy.info any patterns, file patterns you want to use differently. Take a look at that one real quick, see what's in there. cd bin and copy home info. See, these are all the files I exclude when I do bash. When I run the copy home bash file. Yeah, so exclude anything lost and found. I think I need to actually put that on there for it to work correctly. Then trash 1000. Yeah, I don't want to back up trash, do I? No. Then the cache directory. And sessions. And then I got several files here: zip, ISO, image, OVA, which is a form of virtual file they use sometimes. OVA and stuff in my local shared trash files. I have all those not to be backed up. So, yeah, that works. Now we'll save it and exit out. That was the home info backup files. Yeah, I got the extension right down here, home bin copy home.info. It's a file I created for that. And let's see. Yeah, so you have your backup file. I have a backup log. It creates a log of every time you run it. And so you can see what it did. Aside from all the stuff that flows across the screen real fast. And so it has two places it puts on the screen. It also puts some backup things on the screen, go to the backup log. And then backup directory. What this does is a script, or not a script, but it's a function that extracts the directory from the backup log file. Yeah, this stuff you put in, you put this on in wherever you put it, whatever you want to call your backup log, and call whatever you want. You can put in whatever directory you want. Just make sure you change it here so it reflects that reality. And then this pulls the directory, everything from there up to there, into this backup directory. You'll see why in a minute. Here's a location of your exclude files, all the files we looked at, copy home.info. And then you have your source and your description, destination, your source and destination files. Home, media array, my home. So, yeah, those you have to pretty much do that. Now, you notice I use home up here, home, to indicate what? Home directory. And you could use a tilde, the little tilde thing. I'll show you up here. Right, that little thing. You could use that in your beginning to indicate your home file, but some functions don't work always with that. So best to use home in scripts and stuff like that, because then it'll always pick up whatever home file you're in. That's why I use that. And let's see. So when those are set, then you can make sure that your backup directory, because if you just started going with the backup directory, it doesn't actually create it, because I use T app, and so you have to put it in as a append file. Now I could create it, but I want them all to be the same. It's already there. I want it to append to the file. I want it to create a new file every time. Otherwise, it'll wipe out what I had there before. You may want like 2 or 3 or more backups. Also means you need to maintain it and go in and check it every once in a while, delete out old lines you don't want to use anymore, that kind of thing. But that's part of the deal. Or you can just copy it to another file, move it over to another file name or something like that, and then we'll create a new one every time. How? Right here. Checks first this file name for backup log. It uses this here. And notice how this is how you set a variable in Bash. Your own personal variables you're using inside this framework. So you create a unique name for it. no space, equal name, no space between equal and that, no space between the limiter, which is a quote. Then you put in your whatever you gotta put in for you want it to equal, and you close quote it, and that's all you have to it. It's backup log. So backup log equals at or quote home backup log close quote. Pretty simple, huh? But so you may ask, especially some of you may be more familiar with programming of the languages and stuff, how do you know what kind of backup log is? And another question people might have is what happens when you use single quotes as opposed to double quotes? Well, the single quote, double quote thing is pretty simple. If you enclose anything in single quote, it's going to say it exactly, it's going to pass it on exactly as you print it. So if I have single quotes there instead of double quotes, the at home sign will not be expanded to the full home slash home slash rig slash backup log blah blah blah, whatever home directory you happen to be. And when it wouldn't expand that, you just have that exact thing you have in there. If you have a script or you have you're setting a variable and you want to pass along the contents of another variable into it, you have to use the double quote, not single quotes, otherwise you won't get it. Okay. Now, the other question is, how do you know whether this is a string or a number or whatever? It all depends on what you equal it to. If I had backup log equals 5 there, then it would equal 5 as a number, not as a. Now if I put quote 5, close quote, then it would equal a string of 5. See how it works? Pretty simple. And you have different ways of showing how they equal in that case too as well. Okie dokie. I'm gonna grab me a slurp of water, take a break, think about a second. There we go. Try to clear the throat, help them speak better. Which I always feel like there's crud on my vocal cords or something like that, and that's one of the difficulties with why I have trouble talking clearly sometimes. At any rate, let's see what I was talking about. I was talking about that, quotes. Oh, I was also going to say when you want to set a variable, you do it like this without the $sign in front of it. Whenever you want to use it later on in a part of your scripting, you put a $sign in front of it, and that tells it that you want to use this variable, what's contents variable in that place. So, and always remember this is either a string or a number, depending on what it is. Now this is a string, obviously, because we did string. Uses a home, which is you looked at the thing I had up there. You looked at that thing I had up there before in the thing, you'd see that yeah, I forget where I was headed with that, sorry. That happens frequently for me too. Anyway, yeah, string. So that tells me if, it's how you create if and then statements in bash 2. If this says if, now if you have an exclamation point before anything, it means it's not. So if it's not a file, basically, if that backup log doesn't exist, in other words, then it'll go on to the next thing. Then if the directory doesn't exist, then it'll go to the next thing. it'll create this directory, make directory, and it'll create the directory. Now if you have an if, it has to end with fi, like that. There's another way you can do this, I'll show you that in a minute, but for the more complicated your if-then statements are, the more you want to do it this way because it's easier to read and figure out what's going on sometimes. The other way is a little more, and when the more complicated it gets, more complex it can look, and it's hard to figure out what's going on sometimes in that regard. So then if this backup directory does exist but the file doesn't, then it'll go here. It'll create the file, touch backlog, so that when it appends upon information to it, it'll be there to append to. Then the enter with fi. Yeah, so I always spell it backwards. Maybe you're in something like this. Same with case, you end it with E-S-A-C, not someone. That's how they tell when you end it in the function. Because there's other ways to do it now. I'll show you this other way in a minute, but at any rate, so that's the if-then statement. Now you have to notice this little semicolon right here. What's that for, you wonder? And you see sometimes they use double brackets for these things. Why do they do that? Well, it's a little more complicated in that regard, but this basically is one level of checking your variables out, and there's another level where you use double quotes, and some things, if it doesn't work with single quote, you can try with double quote and see if it helps that out. So that's one way. Usually on these kind of things, we're doing file and directories, and if you're comparing numbers, usually one quote will, if you're comparing strings, however, better to use two brackets on each end instead of one. This is the semicolon basically, and this is a command separator. So since then begins a new command, you have to separate it from the previous command, as if this equals that, or if this doesn't exist as a file, then. So you can either have different commands, or now then is kind of there because it's, I think maybe it's not, it's supposed to be, but I think they're going to remove then from the future bash variables just to smooth it out and thing. Maybe we'll do it now, I don't know, but yeah, I don't know if then has to be there at this point, but you do have then there, you have to have this hyphen, not hyphen, but excuse me, semicolon, separate command. So any command is separated in bash, or even just copy it on your terminal using semicolon. I'll demonstrate that in a minute. But let's see. Oh, so it's either semicolon or a new line will begin a new command. So if then starts new command, right then starts this command, close out the one, starts this command, close out that. So if that already, if the directory and the file already exists, it's not going to do anything, is it? Nope. I'm going to zoom right through that little loop there. And then down here we have where I print F. It's kind of a format of echo in a sense, but it's formatted text. What that means is this allows you to put your escape character and your new line character in here, so it doesn't append right to the beginning of the whatever previous stuff you post on there. And so you see I have those everywhere. Then it creates a new line, and then it gives you this now like a divider, and then it creates this backup files change on date now. Just kind of funny looking thing. It's got the character name. It's got the $sign in front of the parentheses instead of in front of the date part itself, which is what you'd expect, right? Well, yeah, there's certain commands, certain variables like date that are not inherent in bash itself, but are used in bash. I think it's POSIX, also base name and dir name, which is I used up here, same thing. So you have a $sign dir name. And this weird thing, I'm not going to go through all this because it's maybe on the scope what we're going to talk about today. But anyway, you have all that and you quote it, and it expands this out, backlog, is all the stuff here, and it gets the dir name of it. So, directory name, in other words, dir name, directory name. Use same thing as base name, I think is what it's called. Something like that. So, yeah, so you go down here, and this pulls your date out of there. Now, this is used more when you need to execute a command within print or echo function. So date is more of a system command. It's like I say, it's not an inherent bash command. So it creates this date command that pulls the date out of it. Print on this thing, so backup change files on this date. And it does that, and then it gives a new line. You don't ever see these except just connects the next, drops the next line. If you just put print or echo, it'll just put all the lines in one long string, which will be unreadable pretty much for everybody. So that's why it does that. Then this is a pipe command. Base says it's going to take whatever output this is and pipe it to this next command, which is T. T is a command which basically allows you to append or other functions, which is just dash A. It means it's going to append the output to backup log, the backup log file we have up here. Now, T also, I use T here because you could use the greater than sign or less than sign and pipe it out to a file. Instead of, I could pop it out to that using that, and you use double less than signs, you would pipe it out to append on there. Well, the problem is then you don't see it on your screen. You just sit there and you wonder, is it running? Does it do anything? I don't know what it's doing. So I use a T function, which allows you to put both output to the screen and to the backup file, append to the backup file at the same time. So then over here, I start my rsync function, AVW, which are commands you use in rsync. You always look up the commands in these things using man space rsync on your command line, or you can use info rsync. Usually, that's a little bit more detailed sometimes. Or you can probably usually find most of the man pages, manuals, man manual pages on the net too, if you want to look up that way. Anyway, it's got delete during. Now you got delete before and delete after. I chose delete during just for simplicity's sake, basically. And so it'll delete any files that are not on the file, source file, but are on the destination file. So delete those files off to the destination. And then this is excluded now. I don't remember which one of these commands does it. I think B stands for verbose, and W stands for one thing, A stands for another. But one of these letters basically tells it to only, oh I know, A is the attributes. A is the attributes, so it passes whatever attributes are on the file, you know, who owns it, and the data was created, modified, all that kind of stuff. In other words, if you didn't have that file, the attribute there, then it would just copy it over, and it'd be created new every time according to on the day you copy it over. That'd be the data to show on there. And W, I think, is one where it creates it so that only the files that need to be updated are updated. In other words, if it sees two files, they're exactly same dates and everything, it won't bother copying that file. It's going to go on the next file. So it only copies the files over that you want to copy that changed since the last time you ran it. So that's pretty cool. Now here's where we have our exclude from file put in. You have to have this file here for it to exclude the files in your file. Of course, it puts the X file up there. And it'll expand it out. Now, home. I forgot to put a source on there, didn't I? Yeah. I had to set it so that try to make it more generic so other people can use it. Anyway. And capital S. Now, one thing I need to tell you about this is capitals are important in here. So these actually make quotes here only because some files, some things you may have up there like I have one file backup that says 250G space SSD, stands for my 250 gigabyte SSD card that I have plugged in my other computers over here. So if you have a space there, you'll have those quotes there. Guess what? Then the thing, your two different files, you read two different ways, you have pickup error. The thing. So you have your destination there, and your source file here, and it puts it into the log as well. When it finishes, it prints finished. When I'm thinking finished on, I'm going to change this on date. Date. And put that up there again. There we go. And then it finishes next down. Now that's how if you want to do a whole home directory. So what if you wanted to break it up? Now I have another ones on some other computers that have it all. I just put specific directories. Where I put source here, I just change it to the directory I want it to be, and I have a different line. So like I want to back up everything on my, say, download directory. So I just have it. I can either exclude it in the excluded file section by putting in download / asterisk, and we'll download anything in the download directory that you have there. Or you can specify on here what files you want to include. Like you can say document directories or kind of thing. But you have full path. Now you could, if you wanted to, yeah, I can get more complicated with it. I use while and forward to loops and all that kind of stuff to cycle through directories that are included in the list, stuff like that. I could do that. So I'll show you that more next time, maybe on our script of the week when I look at my install scripts that I have on here. Different distributions. That's how I install all my software that I standardly want to install automatically. So I don't have to sit there and type it in all the time every time. I can just run that script and bingo. Cool, huh? So anyway, That exits out. And that's the copy side of it. Now I have the restore side set up. Now we'll see. Low input output. Did that. Haven't done that. We haven't done that. Okay. So we've looked at variables. Also, I need to tell you about another special variable, which we'll get in the restore file too. Yeah, so let's save this, max out of it. We'll look at our restore stuff. Whoops. Yeah, that's H on the end. So we'll do that and .sh. Also, it's a little trick if you want to do that sometime. You can easily put in previous command by hitting up arrow. Up arrow in case you want to know how I did that. So anyway, here we have see, this is where I had my SD cards. I have another one though. Let's see the example of my case statement. Case is helpful if you have multiple options you want to cover. Make sure they're all taken care of. And key parts by case statements. You have case. You have a $1 sign there. What kind of variable is that? It's not seem to be located anywhere. $1, $2, $3, $4. $1, $2, $3, $4 indicate is all the spaces on your command line where you put in. So in other words, you got to put, as the script down here says, run this, you got to put in something after that. So you got to put in all, or you got to run help, which is what these cases are, either dash help or just dash H will get this information. If you don't have anything in there, it says incorrect syntax. Please check help or H up for more info. I'll pop the stuff up there. Tell you what you need. So you need to do all, or you do a specific directory or specific files that you want to pull out of there. That's one thing. rsync has a backup function that allows you to archive it all one group, so it's just one big glob. You delete the whole thing if you want to, real easy that way, so something like that. But I wanted it to have individual files, just like them. So if I go to my file manager, which I use Thunar on this, and we go, let's see, where is it? Oh yeah, go to my thing. This is, yeah, where it comes. This is what I think list. See, it just looks up my home directory, pretty much. So, yeah, so on a document, I can just go over here. I go down through here, find the document I wanted to copy over, and I copy it over. So I copy that if I wanted it back over my home directory over here. Bada boom. Or I use this file I created, bash file, do the same thing. So yeah. Now this is old one, so I have it set up correctly the way I wanted to do it. Anyway, each command line is separate. Each command or option is set on there is separate with spaces. So if you have SSD / space copy without a quote around it, you're going to get two different commands there. or if you just use your PDF, it says like you have a specific file you want to get off there, you can use that on the end of it, or you can go down here and you can just enter a directory and pull a whole directory's worth of stuff over back to your hard drive. If it's there to be had, that is. Yeah. Gotcha. Okay. So, if nothing's there, I'll tell you that. Now here it says all. It'll indicate this. Anything else? Assuming that anything else, that's what asterisk means. Asterisk space in parentheses means that anything else that is Missy's first help or nothing or all. They're assuming that it's got S1 in there. Case S1. And help equals help of that, or nothing or all. So there's some there. It's going to run it as if it was your individual, or the second option here. You enter all instead. It's going to copy restores the entire saved home directory back to your source directory. Wherever it's going to be restored to. So that's what's cool about that. Now that's how I usually use, like if I have a file here and I need to restore it to my from my home directory that I have over there. I need to restore everything off there. Then I go there. Let's see if I have anything here. I have restore home. It's plain. It's been a while since I've had to use that on this machine, so yeah, out of date. I need to update those. Anyway, that's how that works. That's a case statement. Shows to demonstrate that. Input output. Now I'm going to use that. I'm going to go back to what the script I showed you last week is. User log user out. And we are going to look at that real quick too. This also demonstrates the case. Ask. See. I wanted to get capital or lowercase h1. Now, if you use if statements for these, you could use that, but it's more complicated. You have to use if ask equals s, capital S, then if ask equals lowercase s, then if ask equals, so it'd be real complicated to list all those options out in if then statements. This makes it simpler. And one of the things you have to do that's key on here is when you end the case situation, like in case ask equals s or s, capital S or lowercase s, shut down now. Then you have these two semicolons, which indicates the end of that command, that section. So it begins the next one. Case R, ask equals R, or lowercase r, or uppercase R, reboots, lowercase l, uppercase L, he kills user. Shot me. And then the CC exits. So that's why you want to use case a lot of times because of that function. Now one of the interesting things is you can do read. Now you should just this dash P means it's going to have a prompt. So if you want to use a prompt, you have to have that there. You pick either S or R, L, or C, which I have echoed up here for that. And shut down, reboot, log out, user, or cancel. But ask is a variable, so now you could just put read ask and leave it there and assume they understand that it does mean that. Or you would put a prompt here like I did here. So yeah, just if you need a prompt, you can put a prompt, but you don't have to have a prompt. Just have read, and it'll stop and it'll wait for you to input something for read or ask. So then case ask and blah blah. Put that through there. Now the interesting thing is that I have this in a while loop. How do you do a while loop? Here's an example where you compare two strings. As you notice, I have this quoted 0, ask equals 0. As long as ask equals 0, it's going to do this following list of commands here. When it stops at being 0, it'll say it's done. So when you have ask here, you set it for a new thing, either one of these things. If you just press enter, it'll jump back up to this again. It won't do anything. Yeah, it's because it'll still equal 0 by the time it gets down here. If it doesn't equal 0, then it'll move on. You're done with it. I'll illustrate that here in just a momento. But yeah, that's this is a function where I tell where you use a double brackets. Do that. Semicolon, which means what? That's right. Means you're starting a new command. Do, then does all this stuff. Echoes that out. Use your read command, ask, case, ask, in, or whatever you put in there, S, R, L, or C, whether it's uppercase, lowercase, it'll catch it. If it's anything else, then ask equals 0, which means it's going to do what? Go back up to the top. And to be consistent, I probably should say. Should put some quotes. Shouldn't I? There you go. So that is that now. One other thing to tell you about bash files I'll show you in a minute, but do that. Log user out. See there? You see shut down, reboot, log out user. Now if I just hit 0, it keeps repeating the same thing. Do that forever until I tell it enter something. Otherwise it'll keep doing that. I want to cease and I want to reboot. Lowercase c, and it exits. Without rebooting or logging out or nothing, just cancels out. So that's a situation where you use case, how I use case in that case. And I think we covered most of the things I wanted to cover here. Let's see. Let's go to world that. Input and output. Yeah. Another thing I've looked at is do statements, which is a little different, but I can look at my example of my bash script, which is for installing programs real quick, just to show you the do function of it. Not really show the whole thing because it's kind of long, a bit longer than standard. But yeah. Now one thing I wanted to show you is that see all these green things? Green things indicate that they have X, so they're executable. Executable by the owner, executable by the group, executable by the user. And also tells you who owns it. And store home.sh. So if I hit restore home.sh all by itself, it'll execute the program. Now if you don't have that executed, you can still execute a program by calling bash on it and doing it that way. Bash, and then you put in the full path of it if you don't have it in your path statement, directory and path statement, you can do it that way. But yeah, if you want to execute, like if I wanted to make this executable, you don't need to since it's a text file, that's all it is. Then I can do that. But let's look at, yeah, so in case you want to know the command for how to change that, let's actually say test it, that file right there, and then we won't change it. So we want to run that as a script, then we will test it just like that. Now if you look at it again, tested screen, and it's got the executable variable set in it. You can also go into your GUI like Thundar or Nano or Nemo, excuse me, or any of those kind of GUI programs, GUI file managers, and you can set it there by right clicking, going to properties, and go up to permissions on the tab, and there's usually a button or a box checked off down there that says something like executable, make executable, or something like that. So another way you can do it now. I'm going to undo that since I don't really want that. chmod -x test. Now it's on my unset. So that's how you do that. Now you have to do that if you want to execute just by typing in the name of the program. Otherwise you have to put bash in the directory it's in and all that kind of thing. So it's easier to do that if you want to. So like I have this down here, XML to HTML file I was working on. I didn't finish though because I didn't have it. I can't remember what I was doing that for, but I was working on some there, and I had a lot of little things here. They're like a do statements. Dewey. Okay. Let's look at my Debian install file so you can see what it looks like. I think I don't have SH on that one. I'm correct. Okay, this is actually a for statement. Do this. Yeah, so you have your while statement, which is as long as the condition's not met, or is met, or whatever, it'll do the functions in there, which is convenient for things where we want to keep people from entering things that you don't want them to enter and stuff like that, forcing people to enter things. I also have for loops in here in bash, which go through a list. Now you can see I have a lot of comments. Some of these I don't longer use that much, other than I do. Depends on what I've got going on here. Currently am in this have MPD, Cantata, GFTP, my FTP program, LibreOffice, which I saw everything from there. It's not Nano, Celluloid, Krita, Inkscape, Neofetch, HTOP, Perl, Flatpak, Firefox, OBS, GIMP. So it'll try and install all these programs in there. And when I say try, I'll show what I mean by that. Now, I got a couple of programs here and also some possible fonts I might want to install at some point. So I got those there too. It's plain I can do. Yeah. Now I have this plist variable set up here. It has all these programs separated by spaces as a delimiter. And basically, yeah, so I is a variable. So for I in plist, in other words, I is going to go through each of these things one at a time, process them. So I first going to equal MPD, which is the database for music functions, which Cantata relies on using for its music. That's why I have that in there. So it's going to, first one it's going to pull up is MPD. It's going to go through that. Then it's going to do the following commands. It's going to say which I, which basically is a command that says, is this in my path and do we have it on the system? It's in the path and we have it on the system. It'll be positive, it'll be 0. It'll give a 0 error code. If it doesn't, it'll have something greater than 0, 1 usually, but sometimes 2 or 3. Depends on the error. So then if the error code and the $sign with followed by question mark is a code for error variable. And here it's always the error code you use to test anything. Now I put like I want to export this to a file. I found out I couldn't do that. Otherwise, it picked up on the error code for successfully exporting to a file. It always equals 0, so I couldn't do that. So if the error code is greater than 0, in other words, didn't find the file, then if this is an exception because OBS is OBS in the system. If you want to search for it, like which OBS, if you had OBS Studio, wouldn't find it. You have to have OBS. Don't know why, that's just how it works. So I have another option here where if I equals OBS, that listed up there is one of the options, then it changes I to OBS Studio. It's what you need to install the program with. You can put other exceptions there like that too. So then I echo installing I or OBS or whatever, NPD, first one, and then do sudo apt-get. Now I use apt-get because apt isn't made for functions, for scripts. It's not like apt-get is. We almost always have to use apt-get, which is why you can't find this option in apt, because apt-get is made more for scripts. That basically says that it's going to default to yes to install. So you don't have to sit there and hit yes all the time while it's installing all this stuff. You want to install everything that it finds. Install, and then it uses the number 1, string 1, which is, or string I, string I, and so it installs the program. Now if it doesn't find the program on this part, it'll just give you an error saying, can't find program, sorry. So if it does equal 0 though, however, else echo program I is already installed. So if it finds it, it'll default to this thing down here. And that's in the if I statement. Ever done that? Nope, you gotta go to Cantata, the next one. So it goes back up here. Goes the next one in the list. Goes all the way down until it gets to GIMP. Then it will, once it's done checking GIMP out if it's on the system or not already, and if it isn't, then it installs it. And then it says, are we done yet? And it says, yes, you are. So it'll go on. The following things. Now I've dealt with this a little more though. Yeah, I've modified this a little bit. And I have some other things on here like I used to install Brave Browser. I don't anymore. Have all that commented out. And yeah, and then I also do fonts. I used to download the fonts, but they changed some of the way they did it on this website, so I couldn't do it that way anymore. Apparently I did too many of those or something. So then I had this unzip file which went through there and that. So now I just have them stored in my download directory, which is copied when I do my restore all. And then so sudo cp r which means your cursively directories or home. You have to do sudo because you're going to put it to user share fonts true type. This is where those fonts are stored in the system. So it copies those fonts from my download directory to my user font directory, and then they're available for programs like LibreOffice or other programs like that to pull up on. I wasn't going to do this, was I? Yeah, so anyway, now we'll look at this file more in depth next time, and also the Arch-based one, the Solus-based one, the Fedora-based one. Yeah. So that's what we got here. And anyway, that's how do works. Do for loop in here. First you have a list that's separated by spaces. That goes there, and then for, and you have a variable that's just plain variable. You always reference it by putting $sign for it later on. And your commands you execute. So that's how that works. Now, I think we got into all the loops and stuff like that. And that's all I intended to go over today. We're at an hour and 11 minutes since we started. Doesn't appear anybody's at least come on chat. So, there's nobody to chat with, or ask a question, nobody like that. So if you are listening right now and you want to ask a question, feel free to hop in on chat and say something, ask a question, those kind of things. I'll do my best to answer them. Can't promise anything, but I'll do my best. Like a lot of people, I have to Google things sometimes to find out certain more complicated things. But yeah, that is my setup, my bash setup. So there you go, that's how we do that. And I did want to encourage anybody who's having to be listening by this point, subscribe to this channel if you want to find out when I come on with Coffee On with Model A Screwer Guy. We'll have some coffee or whatever your favorite beverage is, and we'll chat a bit, some about Linux, about the topic of the day, or anything else you want to chat about. If you're curious about me, the questions you want to ask me, that kind of thing, I'll try to answer them best I can. If you want to know some more personal information, you either go to my website. That's something I can do. Go to my websites. Now, most of the things I programmed in has been basic programming back in the 80s. It was a long time ago. Yeah, it's getting longer and longer all the time. Anyway, 80s. And I also programmed in PHP for most of, since about 2001 or so. Matter of fact, I have this whole system developed for web browsers. Yeah, it's somewhat complicated, that kind of thing. But I stole some coding from some people, and I figured out, hey, I can do it this way, use it this way. So I did. Create a website. Basically, I didn't say stole, did I? I don't mean stole, I borrowed or used. It's all open source, so you can use it. They'd be happy to find out the stuff is good and put to good use. I'm sure of it. Yeah. But yeah, a lot of people do that kind of thing. Open source stuff especially. So we'll look at that in a minute. What I was thinking I'd do, I'd go through my, I mentioned I'm an author. I got about 13 books out. 13, 14 books. Some of them big, huge novels. Not huge novels, but novels, sized. There's a couple of how-to books I've written. And I've also created some nonfiction as well. So most of my work has been in science fiction, space opera type science fiction, and in fantasy. Yeah. So yeah, matter of fact, I have some interesting files. I can show you some interesting audio work that I've done before. But I haven't figured out how to get desktop audio to work on this puppy yet. So, the only thing I can do is blare it loudly through the speakers, hoping I'm picking on the microphone so you can hear it. Then it sounds like I'm in an auditorium or something like that. So I need to figure out how to accomplish that task, I guess. I can show you where you can find them so you can go to them if you want to. Let's go back up to the screen. And let's go to browser. And my basic website is https www.rlkoppel.com. Now this is like a PHP program I wrote, which creates a website out of files and directories. Pretty cool, I think. I haven't got error log down there, which is one of the bops. I guess I need to put an exclusion for that on there, but I got search, I got my bio, I got contact me. This is really one more personal information about my writing stuff, about me as a writer. And I got contact me, which basically, what do I have on there? I forgot. Oh, it's a contact form. I used to have a Parler account. I guess I have a Parler account somewhere. Anyway, I also have a Telegram account I just recently got. So contact me that way you can. It's I think it's just R.L. Koppel, if I remember right. So I looked back a few years ago, back 2010 or so. Well, it was taken, I think, yeah, it was taken 2011, 2012, somewhere in there. Well, it's pretty much like that. Had a beard and all that kind of stuff. I look a lot more handsome there than I do now, but yeah. Anyway, I need to update that contact page probably. I did have a form on there which allowed me to email me, but I started getting too much spam on it, so I changed it. My blog, which I do have a blog. Actually, I created, using this basic stuff, I created a blog software too. Publish books. This is book one, Legend of Dragons Nightingale, which I have out. 2019 when I put it out. I've got the second one waiting to come back from the editor. My editor-in-chief person who looks through some of my stuff occasionally. And she's obviously bogged down with other things, apparently. May have died or something, for all I know. Sort of old. Anyway, I mean that derogatorily, mind you, just the way the truth of it. Yeah, so you got audio recordings right here. That's how you get to some audio recordings. And these are the Rescue Robot series. Click on these. Have some information about them over here. Call of Nature, Steamy Realities, Weapons of War, Call of Nature. Now some of these are things I read on the back when I had a good voice, so don't worry, you can understand these pretty well, I think. I recorded these back for my podcast I used to do, audio podcasts I used to do, which was a kind of a, yeah, it's kind of hard to explain all of it, but basically there's a magazine called Ray Gun Revival, and my podcast is called Ray Gun Radio, which I took over from Taylor Kent, who also initially started it, but he wanted to bow out. I don't remember all the reasons why he wanted to bow out that time, but he wanted to bow out of working on it. I guess he had other things. It's hard for him to do both at the same time because he had his own podcast he's doing too, so on and so forth. But so I took it over, and I ran for a year and a half on it before I ran out of steam and couldn't do it anymore for whatever reason. Don't remember why I couldn't do it, but I couldn't. I did these from like about 2007 through 2008 or 9. I can't remember what the time frame was there, but I know I went over a year on it, about a year and a half. Anyway, I had these are stories I did, short stories, flash fictions, most of them. And these are very short. Rescue Robots is very short. It's like little vignettes at the end of the podcast. It's little short, brief, silly, stupid things I did. Where you have these robots that run around blowing up everything, and they feel like they've done their duty as rescue robots. Doesn't sound very rescue, does it? But that was the concept. And so these are stories I've actually read. I've read some other stories or other people's stories, which I may put on here eventually if they give me permission to do so. I imagine most of them probably would, but these are all my stories and I read them, so I put these up pretty easy. Seeing Realities, first chapter of my book, edited with three-part series, and it's also spun out the series you saw earlier, Magic Within. Spun out that series of books. And we got Weapons of War, Reality's Fire. Now that was a musical thing. I wrote the words for a song in the book, and second the book originally called Transform Realities, later called Reality's Ascent. And anyway, it's got a verse and chorus to it. And I sang it. I had a melody in mind, so I sang it. And to my publisher, saying it, I recorded me singing it, then I sent her the copy of the song I recorded. I thought it should sound. She gave it to another guy who had some musical ability, and he put it to music, and in the basic way that I did, and he sang it too. So I have that on there. And so, yeah. So that's pretty cool. And let's see. Reality's Flame is what the song's called. Click that and you'll get the whole musical piece that he did. He did a good job with it too. And let's see. Stanley Black is the one that actually sang it, put it to music. So that's pretty good, I thought. And if I wanted to, I probably could have at the time sang it, but I figured he sang it, so pretty good. So I used it. What I'm wanting to do though is take this and get the chords and figure out what the chord progressions on it are, and then I can play on my guitar, my song. So, or have my son play it on guitar or something like that, depending on my hands. May or may not be able to do chords correctly or something. It's been so long I don't even have calluses on my fingers anymore. So anyway, that's a goal I always had to do that. And yeah, so you will. That's that. Now go back up here. My published books. See, I have the Reality Chronicles. That's my first series I did. Legend Dying Dragonfield. That's one book I have in there. Virtual Chronicles. That's a book that I have in. It's got a 4-part series there. 4 novels. Starting with Mind Game. Going through, let's see. Yeah, you get Virtual Game. Mind Game, Book 1. And Book 2's Hero Game. Yeah, Hero Game in Book 2. Where they become virtual superheroes. I know what that's about. And then Book 3. So tiny it's hard to read. Virtual Game. The Reality Game in Book 4. I have this free thing you can read and you can copy it, wherever. Download it or read it right off the web or something like that. Yeah, that is. Okay, yeah. And you can look at this from Barnes & Noble. I turn myself off here so you get a picture. You can see it better. There. Yeah, you can download this from Amazon, from Barnes & Noble, pretty much any place you can get it. So, not just these virtual superheroes. Gives you a taste of what the stories are like in there. And it's free. So, the short vignettes, pretty much, I think 4 of them. So they were pretty fun. Virtual Hero. Virtual Hero is what it's called. Or if I just look on Amazon or any other place for it and type in a couple virtual, probably find it. And then they had auto recording and apologies. And I have here a how to make an ebook using free software. Also my poetry book, Ethereal Words anthology. And then my old comics. That's anthology. You can find a list of anthologies up here. Some I wrote all myself, like Ethereal Worlds Volume 2 and Ethereal Worlds Volume 1. And Ethereal Words. That's the two places apparently. Yeah, I've got it in here as well as out there in the post books. Not sure how that happened, but I did. Just following 2 places. And yeah, how to make an ebook. Some old comics are interesting. And I have them download where you can download them in PDF files so you can read them offline. And they're free. It tells a little bit about them. And I think in my published book series of here. Let's check on my books on this books to read link. Yeah, it's to show you all the actual published books I have out, if I'm not mistaken. That is right in that field. I see the Reality Chronicles, Virtual Chronicles, Your Words Anthology, other books by me. Your Words is my poetry book here, anthology. My rebellion, which I'm kind of proud of this one pretty much because it's both. It turned out to be pretty good. It's just a one book, no series or anything. It's just one book. Could theoretically make a series about it to some extent, but yeah. You click on this, it'll tell you all the places you can get it, as well as where get it now. If you've been in this, you already have it set up. Take you straight to available retailer you chose. So if you chose been on here before, you chose something like Amazon or Barnes and Nobles or something like that, you can say get it now. It'll take you straight there for a moment. Okay, if you don't, then it'll give you options. You choose Apple, Kindle, Kobo, Scribe, Angus and Robertson, and Vivilo. Not familiar with those, but you can find all these books. So if you go here, do you want to get it from Amazon? Then you say continue. It'll take an Amazon page for it. Here, $2.99 per nice book. So that's how that works. Anyway, that's my website. Now I have a script now more appropriate to Linux. I also have a Linux site, which is https non-linuxguruguy.rlpop.com. Subdirectory of that. Anyway, yeah, so this is not a Linux Guru Guy's website here. May the Linux force be with you. Okay. So you got Tiprick. If you want to give me money for my channel, that kind of thing. Here's download scripts directory. Go here, you download scripts. Have on here. Have information on my blog post about the subject, about how to basically use a bash script file, those Qtop configuration files. Qtop configuration file. As you have to install all this stuff to work. Then you import and it tells you how to use that. Download configuration archive. That's my configuration files you install Qtop Window Manager on your system. And here's the download. This DDISO USB is to create a script. The script create a USB flash drive on your computer using DD, which is a form of, I'm not sure what DD stands for off the top of my head, but I probably can remember if I thought about it. Anyway, it's ISO to USB DD. You download that there. Here you install Candy Icons. I've checked see the script files, the old one that has the script or stuff in it. If it is old script, doesn't work anymore, and it don't work. There's a user distro evaluation spreadsheet. There's a series I did on my channel that I created a spreadsheet. I gave it so people could upload it and use it themselves. App image install. This installs app images on your menu file system for you. Look at that later, I'm sure. And disclaimers and all this kind of stuff too. So yeah, I could install some of these when I get them where they're usable by other people. That's part of the fun of this is learning new stuff and creating new files and scripts. Yeah. The cool thing about script files, I even have some simple script files I should have showed you. Real simple ones, basically like I think I'll show you one of them at least. Like my app, ones I'm particularly interested in is removing files, removing programs. Let's see. There. Again. Then we will ls. Now, I have the apt rm is a bash script I use to automate apt update and apt removal, and apt delete. I'll show you the difference between apt delete and apt removal is. One program, one not. Let's find out. Apt delete. Okay, this removes a program from your system. Basically, it does auto remove on you, so you can delete packages off your system automatically. So that's all it is. Simple script with 2 commands in it. It's about as simple of a script as you make it, pretty much. I could have done this using a alias as well. Well, I forgot I was going to show you that one. Yeah. Let's okay, so let's see what that is. Nano app rm. This removes packages on your system. This one. So it takes first entry you put on there, then purges it, then removes it. Now it's package. What did I do? Okay, it's more of a. Oh yeah, okay, I got it. Yeah, this is a package that first checks to make sure you have it on your system before it tries to delete it. It's not on your system using dpkg query list program grep program. It will it will go to the else function. Package does not exist on this computer. Do you wish to remove any dependencies instead? You say yes or no. In the case yes, no, and yes. Yeah, that works. You can put lowercase y, uppercase y. You can put yes as in yes, in case somebody capitalizes the y and yes, or you just put all lowercase yes or all uppercase yes, whichever one is there. Just kind of assume you want yes. And so sudo apt-get, and then I'll answer yes, and I'll remove. Otherwise, if it's anything else other than yes, it will exit, and that'll be the end of it. So there you go. Oh yeah, that's what I was showing. I want to show you this in another case situation. I don't want to have to put out 4 if statements to get the. I want to show you something else now. Let's create a file. We're going to create a bash file. That'll be a good idea to do on that account. Okay, let's create a bash file. Let's delete tested. I don't know what's untested. Sure, it's testing something. So we'll remove. Hey, we need a delete function on. Yeah. At remove. Oh, it's not a program. Silly me. Yeah, so remove. Tested. Here and nano. Okay, so we're ready to start it off. So we're going to comma, exclamation point, bin bash. Just like that. Now let's see, okay, we want to test some things here, don't we? So what we're going to do is we're going to see. Oh yeah. We're going to use a different if form, if command. Yeah, okay, let's do a set first. The set variable equal 5. We're going to set this variable equals 5. That's the number case. So then we're going to, let's see what we're going to do in this 5. Okay. If so if test variable is, now when you're comparing numbers, you gotta use a greater than or equal to in words. So equals, you gotta put a hyphen before it too. Equals 5. Then, now here's an interesting case. Oops. Is if it's a true statement, it's going to be and. Now and is kind of an interesting function here because you put 2 double ampersands equal and, put 2 pipe or vertical things like that to equal or. Anyway, if you use and in the function, if this is true, if this is equals 5, then it's going to do this function as well, wherever you put an and. So we want to say echo it is by. Well, I know we use our read function there to do that. We use while loops here too. Really fancy, are we? Let's see, then read. Let's use read tested. While 2 there. I'll test B does not equal grabs function. We'll do that. Not equal. We'll make it something like leave do now you don't have to. This just makes it easier to read when you indent things. That gives you a more visual of what the command structure is on this. Okay, if it equals 5, then it is 5. If it's not 5, then we'll say an else statement in here. We'll put the double pipe in here and say it's not 5. Okay. So what it should happen if this is accurate, test TV will equal, it equals 5. And probably I'll put it in quotes, it's string. String. Do 2 equal signs here. This in quotes here just helps ensure that we match whatever is in there. Okay, it should work. So it'll evaluate the first statement. If it's true, then it will go to the end. If it's not true, then it will go to the echo. It's not 5 at all. It's silly. If this works as planned, at least. Now, done. And we're done with the loop. We need to put exit command here. Okay. Yeah, if we're going to exit work, we need to put exit command. So you can then do run simple. Okay. So you made it more complicated. If you didn't want to do it, if else loop there, you could say if it equals 5, then like this where I create an extra test on it. So if it equals leave, then you go 0. Exit, so command. So this puppy works, okay? Save that. Exit. And we'll make tested executable. Chmod. What's that? And test. There it is, test it right there. Already run. Okay, let's run it and see what we get. It does what I think it's going to do. The big test. Test. And I think yeah, it's waiting for a reading statement from me. I'm putting instructions on their actual statements came when I'm supposed to put there. I put K. Not 5 at all, silly. That was a option we had on there. And if I put 5 in there, it is 5. So far it's working just like a pledge. Did you put anything else in there, like finish? Not 5 at all, silly. Or exit. There you go, stupid thing. Leave. And you're all done. So that's how that works. Works exactly like I planned for it to. Yay! It's real uncommon for me to have a put together a file like that. I have some little bug in there, some little semicolon or period or some out of place. That's cool. It works that way. So that's creating a bash file using read. It sits there and it lets you put it in while loop. That's cool. So there you go. Well, nobody else is in chat. Ooh, we've been almost for 2 hours on this puppy, yeah. So we'll end it here. Let me get over back to my mug shot here. Sipping on my coffee still. Yeah, so don't forget to subscribe if you want to check out more of my videos and stuff as I put them out. I don't know how, like I said, I'm not sure how fast I'm going to put them out because I'm really focusing on my writing lately. And that's why I didn't put out a video the week before. Put out one this past week, but yeah, it's just not enough time in the day to do all the stuff I want to do, apparently. So yeah, so subscribe though and check out stuff. And if you want to view any other things or ask any questions, be back in next week at 4 o'clock on Sunday afternoon Mountain Time to do this all over again with another topic. Look at maybe some more script files. My plan is always have a script file to look at beginning of each episode. Now, eventually I'm going to run out of scripts. I don't know what I'm sure what I'm going to do then, and we have to make more scripts or something, but yeah, so I have a limited number of scripts. Some people have more than I do, for sure. I will use scripts that I need them and make them. So next week I think we'll look at the script, install in more detail. I install new packages script. We got one for Arch, one for Solus, one for Fedora, one for Debian. Yeah, or Debian. Yeah, that old distro. Yeah, so I may do a review on Debian next time. I'm thinking I've been intending to get to Debian 11, but yeah, take a break on this virtual manager system. It's been a while since I've done the Debian. I did a Debian install back in the day a long time ago, but I don't really remember what all I did on it on. So So anyway, got that coming up, and also want to take a look at Solus when the new Bungie comes out. Curious what that's going to be like. Yeah, so if you haven't heard, they're the Bungie guys at Solus, who are the creators of Bungie pretty much, have been using GNOME bases, GTK, for their Bungie version of Bungie. Due to some complications and problems and things they've had recently apparently with it, they're going to look at using a different system, ESL, but they gotta transition over to it a little bit. So looking forward to what that's going to look like. It'll be interesting. And so I'm going to do a review on that when it comes out eventually. Another distro plan to review. I want to do a review on Garuda later, Qtile or something like that. They changed some things on Qtile on Garuda. I'm kind of curious, but I did a review on that back in the day. Anyway, I'll do a review on that too at some point. Any other reviews that you'd like me to do or things you're interested in? Be sure to leave a comment on any of my videos. Since I'm so small channel right now and I have so few subscribers, that kind of thing, I can do that, you know. I can read all the comments thoroughly and respond to each one. Once I get too big, if I ever get big, probably won't have the luxury of being able to respond to all the comments, but I know people like DT has that problem. They look at the first few comments and we'll read all the rest of them because there's too many for him to deal with. I understand that. So, yeah. There you go. I should say bye now, I guess. We'll be here next week, Sunday at 4 o'clock for some more information, a discussion of interest, and we'll try to look at. Did I talk about my game? No, I didn't. I was going to mention before I go my gaming system that I was going to run a test, see if the window manager run a gaming system better than a distro desktop like Pop! OS. Well, I had awesome out of my computer. Didn't do too good. It's it runs a lot slower, like glitchier on the window manager than it does on Pop! OS itself. Hoping that the lower memory usage, give more memory to use for that kind of thing. There's obviously even with the Zen kernel installed on it, for some reason it wouldn't. It just was. It went like that. It's very visibly slower. So on Pop! OS it runs fairly smoothly. I figured out part of my problem on the thing is my computer in there only has 2.0 USB connections on it. I don't know if there's any way to install a 3.0 on it, but I'm gonna look into that at some point. Card I can get or something like that. But yeah, it doesn't have any 3.0 USB, so the controller has a little bit of delay, just enough to throw you off on some things. I got it about as good as it's gonna get right now, but yeah, playing Hollow Knight, it works, and I got a little far with it, but yeah, not as smooth and as easy as my son's computer in there, which it's a gaming computer, has i7 on it, and it has NVIDIA cards on it, so it's got all the GPU power you want, that kind of thing. Runs real smooth on his system, but I got very far on that one. There you go, that's how it works sometimes. So, anyway, Pop! OS was real good on the game. I also went through several versions of Arch-based distros. I didn't try Manjaro, but I tried Garuda and I tried Sentient. They all had problems with OS, with the gaming. I don't know if the Zen kernel didn't work with certain programs or what, but yeah, I had problems with that. So anyway, that was my experiment, which is some variable that the Pop! OS desktop uses that allows it to process the game better than it does on Window Manager, like awesome. Now maybe one of the other ones, X1 or something, will do better, I don't know. But yeah, so far gaming on Window Manager seems to be ixnay on that option. At least my one little test didn't show any improvement at all. As a matter of fact, it showed a degrade in it on the same Bluetooth system. There you go, that's what I got to find out on that. So in case you're wondering what my outcome on that was, that's what the outcome is. Nay. Pop! OS is, I got it working pretty good on Pop! OS so far. Everything works smoothly, unlike the Arch Linuxes, which had problems. And I didn't try Arch Linux, didn't try all the other ones, but I tried 2 major gaming desktops. So I got. Anyway, we'll end this now and say we'll chat next week and look for another video this week, hopefully. We'll see. Gotta create it and all that good stuff. But yeah, look for the video. And may the Linux Force be with you. Bye.